In 2019, more than 1.5 million people signed a petition demanding that HBO erase the final season of Game of Thrones and shoot it again with more competent writers. By the time it stopped climbing, the petition had gotten past 1.8 million names. Every one of them watched that final season to learn they hated it, but most of them watched it to the end anyway. The season's second-to-last episode, the one that torched a decade of careful character work in a single firebombing, drew the biggest audience the show had ever pulled. Hatred for the storyline didn't drive them off. It instead gathered the largest crowd of the entire run. Why is it we sit through hours of something we've already decided is bad? I think the best answer has nothing to do with the show itself. I want to understand this, and to get to the bottom of it, I'm going to look at some old experiments from the 1900s and some French philosophers who never owned a television. We keep watching to defend the years we already invested, and the investment turns into the reason to keep investing. The show itself stopped being the point a long time ago. In 1985, two psychologists, Hal Arkus and Catherine Bloomer, did a quiet study on people buying season tickets to a university theater. Some paid full price for the season, while others were given a discount they hadn't asked for at the counter. The people who paid full price showed up to more plays. Same building and same productions, but the only thing dividing a filled seat from an empty one was how much money went into the ticket. Arkus and Bloomer called it the sunk cost effect, and they found the root of it. People kept attending because skipping a play they'd already paid for felt like a waste, and looking wasteful was the one thing they couldn't stand. The money was gone regardless, paid to the theater whether anyone sat in the seat or stayed home. Underneath that is a finding Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky had published a few years earlier. It says that a loss wounds us worse than a matching gain pleases us. Dropping $100 in the street stings more than the delight of finding $100 instead. So we'll do almost anything to keep from making a loss, including putting in good hours after the bad ones. You already know the season for the show I'm talking about. The one you kept loading at midnight, telling yourself it might somehow get good again. There's a better explanation, and it kinda looks like the whole answer. In 1927, a psychologist named Bluma Zygarnik noticed something strange about the waiters in a Berlin cafe. They could hold a dozen unpaid orders in their heads with perfect accuracy, then forget every detail the second the bill was settled. She took that experiment into a laboratory, handed people a string of small tasks, and interrupted half of them before they could finish. When she asked everyone to recall the tasks afterward, they remembered the interrupted ones about twice as well as the ones they'd completed. An unfinished thing stays lit in the mind, while a finished one goes dark. We call it the Zygarnik effect now, and it explains the pull of the cliffhanger and the open tab you cannot bring yourself to close. The story you haven't seen to the end keeps a small light burning at the back of your mind, and watching the finale is how you switch it off. Streaming services understand this better than the psychologists do. Autoplay exists to keep the loop from ever fully closing, to give you the next episode before the itch has a chance to become a decision. By this logic, we don't hate watch to protect anything. We finish because the open loop is an itch that only quiets at the end. You felt it all the time. The episode left running while you brushed your teeth, just to make the light go out. That explanation has one problem though. If all you needed was to close the loop, then you could just read the plot summary in 90 seconds and get the same relief. The light goes off either way, and Zygarnik's waiters never needed to relive the meal order, only to know the bill was paid. Nobody does that with the shows they hate. They don't skim the ending. They sit through 10 more hours of something they've already condemned, and they hate most of what they see. Lost ended in 2010 to a backlash that still hasn't cooled down. The millions who'd spent 6 years with that island tuned in anyway to watch a finale they were already sure would let them down. An itch would have taken the shortcut, so whatever keeps you pinned to the seat is something heavier. What holds you there is the refusal to let the hours already gone be counted as wasted, and Kahneman found a cruelty buried in that. He called it the peak end rule. We judge an experience by its highest moment and by how it ended, almost never by its actual sum. A bad finale doesn't only disappoint you for an hour, it reaches backward and rewrites the memory of everything that came before it. So the bad ending you sat through to redeem the time is the very thing that poisons it. You watch to justify the years spent, but a bad ending teaches you to remember those years as a waste. People say they hate watch for the irony, that there's fun in mocking a thing as it falls apart, and some of that is real. But irony is also a costume, the thing that lets you keep watching while pretending you've stopped caring, and the hours leave either way. Television was never really the subject. In 1943, Jean-Paul Sartre gave that whole feeling a name: bad faith. Bad faith is the lie you tell yourself to slip out from under your own freedom. His famous example was a cafe waiter performing the role of waiter so completely that he forgot he had chosen the job and could walk out the door. You perform a smaller version of it every time you say you have to finish the thing. You don't have to, you're choosing to, and then dressing the choice up as a duty so you never have to own it. I'm not a quitter, you tell yourself. I've come this far. You call those reasons, but they're the bars you build, so the cell looks like it locked from the outside. The truth Sartre gives is that the hours are already spent, and no amount of sitting through a bad 8th season returns the 7 you spent loving the first. You are free to close the laptop in the middle of a line of dialogue, and the discomfort you feel imagining that is the freedom you're working so hard not to look at. Albert Camus presented us the last piece in 1942 with a man and a rock. The gods condemned Sisyphus to push a boulder up a hill forever and watch it roll back down the moment he reached the top. Camus looked at that punishment and decided the only freedom left was to see the situation clearly and keep pushing, without pretending the rock would ever stay put. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, he wrote, because Sisyphus had finally stopped lying to himself about the hill. The hate watcher is Sisyphus, who still believes this push is the one that holds. Give it another season, it gets good, the finale will redeem the rest. That sentence, give it another season, might be the most expensive line in all of television, and it's paid for in years of your time. The boulder always rolls back, and the ending almost never settles the debt you stayed to collect. After all of that, here's what I come down to, and it isn't completely settled. The sunk cost is the lie. Letting a loss stay a loss is the best move. Look only at the good years, like the rock at the bottom of the hill, or closing the tab without waiting for a verdict on the finale. So we don't finish the shows we hate to find out how they end. We finish them to keep from admitting that our wasted time is already gone, and finishing the shows is how we spend even more of it. The years you gave to the thing you loved are real, and nothing buried in the last season can subtract them. That bad ending only wins if you stay to let it rewrite the rest. You probably have a series or two sitting in your queue right now, with 2 episodes left and your patience long burned out. You already know whether you're watching them for the story or for the 7 seasons you're trying to keep safe in your mind. Tell me a show you finished, but wish you'd dropped sooner and the exact moment you knew it was going down the drain.